This was an unexceptional weather event, said Franco Delit, spokesman of French National Meteorological Service, Météo France. The storm formed rapidly over the Atlantic and intensified it as it reached the Paris basin, a pattern we have seen more often due to rising sea surface temperatures. Paris Mayor Ana Hidalgo urged residents to remain caution, warning they feel the storm forecast in the coming days. We are facing the realities of the climate change, she said. Our city must strengthen the drainage system and emergency infrastructure. As the drone broke Paris, woke a scene of chaos, flooded metro assistant, trenches, debris streets, and a smell the wet stone rising from the historic ruins. Yet when the damage many experienced relieved the scene of the remained below critical flood levels. Paris was seen centuries of the storm, said local historian Jean-Luc Bernard. But each time we are reminded no beauty and frugality walk hard in the city. Several metro stations were forced to close after water cascaded down, stairways were portions of red line were suspended, at least 14 flights were delayed or deviated on Charles de Gaulle and Orly airports, and again about 114 km on our battery runway. The Eiffel Tower safety lights temporarily shut down due to the electrical surge in the 17th around this section of scaffolding for the nearby structure, cities collapsing on the streets. Miraculously, no fatalities were reported. 35 people were injured, including 2 firefighters. Paris Mayor Ana Hidalgo called on an emergency meeting early Wednesday, urging calm to promises with restoration efforts. Our infrastructure, who pushed to the limits, she said. These events once again demonstrated the urgent need to climate adaptation in urban areas. Meteorologists described the storm as one of the most intense connective systems in decades, caused by the collisions in a humid Mediterranean air with a cold front swept in the Atlantic. This class generated a supercell system production extreme lighting activity to flash flooding across central France. Across social media, dramatic footage showed hail blanket sidewalks like a snow, bases standing in rising water, and a lighting bolt sinking near the Egg de Tourmay. A sudden and severe hailstorm swept across southern Poland, leaving a scene of destruction in its wake and prompted urgent calls to help. The storm, which struck on a Monday evening, battered town and villages with a hailstone the size of walnuts, smashing windows, damaged cars, and distorted crops in the middle of the harvest season. Farmers in the Motopolska and Podkamparsia region reported catastrophic losses. In the 10 minutes, everything he had worked in the year was destroyed, said Porent Nowak, a farmer from the near Tarnow. The fields looked and someone had chopped them up with the knees. Agriculture representative estimated hundreds of hectares of corn, potatoes, and orange have been destroyed, with the could lead higher food prices in the coming month. Residents described chaos, and the hail-pounded roofs and a blanket drain caused sudden flooding in the city streets. Emergency service responded to hundreds of calls, and a fire crews worked through the night, including debris and secure damaged homes. Fortunately, no deaths were reported, although several people suffered minor injuries from the broken glass. Local authorities are assessing the damage with estimated to be tens of millions of euros. The Polish Meteorological Institute was warned for the Celtic cold more storms in the coming days are unstoppable weather continue to prevail in Central Europe. Climatologists note in the frequency of such extreme weather events in increasing. Hailstorm of this intensify used to be a rare phenomenon, but climate change is affecting weather conditions across the continent, said Dr. Marta Zelinska and the climatologist of University of Warsaw. For many, recovery will be long to difficult. We will build everything, but it seems that nature is tasting other the more year, said resident Anna Kowalska, standing near the destroyed greenhouse. Istanbul was hit by a sudden and severe hailstorm that turned a bustling metropolis into a scene of chaos and destruction. The storm, which lasted less than an hour, brought hailstones the size of a golf ball, smashed windows, damaged cars, and injured dozens of people who were outdoors. The city's streets were quickly covered with a white layer of hail, with a blockade and severe and causing sudden flooding. Major highways, including Bosphorus Bridge, were paralyzing, and cars were unable to drive through the city's trash. Public transport was severely disrupted. Tram lines were blocked and ferry service across the strait were suspended. Istanbul International Airport also reported delays after runways were brilliantly covered in hail. Emergency service responded there hundreds of calls, rescuing people trapped in their cars and clearing collapsing owners and a heat collapsing under the weight of hail. Hospitals treated dozens of people and cars and a heat injuries, and authorities confirmed at least 2 deaths related to this storm. Residents described a sense of panic. It felt like the sky was falling. The noise of hail falling on the roof was different. In a matter of minutes, our streets looked like a cat snowed, said Ice Demir, a shop owner in Kadio. Video posted online showed buses stuck knee-deep in the water and trees blocked by the force of the storm. Agriculture in the surrounding Marmara region suffered significant damage. Vineyards and orchards were damaged, threatening in the harvest and local livelihood. Insurance companies are already estimated the damage of tens of millions of euros. Several European countries are assessing the damage after severe hailstorm swept across the continent, leaving a trail of destruction from France and Italy to Germany, Austria and Switzerland. The storm intensified the unstoppable air masses that collided over Central Europe, produced hailstones the size of a tennis ball that smashed a car, damaged roofs, and injured hundreds of people. In northern Italy, cities in Lombardy and Veneto saw streets covered in ice, and hospitals treated dozens and partying for cars in a heat injury caused by broken glass. In Bavaria, Germany, cars were left covered in dents and vineyards suffered catastrophic damage. It was like bombing, saying Hans Killer, a farmer near Munich. In 10 minutes, our entire harvest were destroyed. Austria, also facing chaos in emergency service, responded to collapsed roofs and blocked highways. In Switzerland, tourists in Lorenz and Alps captured dramatic footage in hailstones, spilled it up like snowdrifts, transformed summer landscape in winter owns. Flights in Zurich and Geneva airports were delayed and cancelled after hail damaged parked planes. Meteorologists said the storm was caused by the collisions between the Mediterranean air and the cold northern front, exactly than the recorded summer heat across Europe. Scientists warn that climate change is contributed to more frequent and destructive hailstorms, and in the continent growing climate-related problems. Agriculture has been hit hardest, heat damaged estimates of hundreds and millions of euros. Vineyard, orange and cornfield across Central Europe has been destroyed, threatening both in local economy and a food supply chain. Insurance companies are already preparing for one of the most expensive weather events in the year. Government has promised to provide assistance and clean up on the aftermath and the initial disaster by sending soldiers in a rural area to clear roads and protect damaged homes from the further rain. However, for the many residents, the storm was stuck remaining in the increasing severity of extreme weather events.
To jest jakiś kataklizm. To jest kataklizm.
Several music festivals and outdoors events were cancelled, leaving thousands and visitors stranded in makeshift shelters. Switzerland too reported significant damage. In Zurich, and Lorentz. Public transport was suspended as a hail closed rail lines and flooded tram tunnels. Airways saw delays, where insurers prepared for the decided one of the most expensive summer storms in recent years. Hospitals across affected countries treated hundreds of injuries from cuts of bursts and the most serious trauma caused by the fallen debris. Power outage hit tens of thousands of homes while schools and businesses closed in the hardest hit regions. Meteorologists explained that the storm was triggered by the collisions of humid Mediterranean air with the cold northern winds, producing intense supercells capable of generating giant hail. Scientists warn such events are becoming more frequent as Europe warned. We are seeing a climate shift, say climatologist Dr. Eva Schinder. Storms like these, once rare, are now growing through it. Despite the disruption, communities are relevant. Volunteers cleared streets of ice, neighborhood shade through fruits and extended travels, and emergency crew worked tirelessly to restore power. As Europe begin counting the cost and a hailstorm severe as another stark reminder of nature growing volatility and the urgent need to resilience in affairs of climate experts. Local authorities reported thousands of homes temporarily without electricity. The intensity of the rainfall overlapped the city drainage system, officials said. Farmers across southern Spain also suffered major losses. The high of the size of a golf ball damaged crops and greenhouse. This storm destroyed weeks of work, letting it a farmer near Seville. Experts warn that such extreme weather events are becoming more frequent due to climate change. Weather aide Hood Mama is through with a full, more violent storm, explaining climatologist Dr. Gieva Ortega. As the storm moves eastward toward the Mediterranean, cleanup efforts are underway, but many Spaniards are shockingly remain. A violent storm wreaked havoc across large parts of Europe, bringing torrential rain, strong winds, and widespread flooding that paralyzed both cities and rural communities. The storm, one of the strongest in recent years, that hit countries from Spain, France, and Germany and Poland, leaving millions of people affected. In the northern Italy, roads turned into rivers. In a matter of hours, the rescue service struggled to save motorists who were trapped. In Bavaria, Germany, entire areas were left without power and winds exceeding 113 km an hour. Paris, France, the hit of European most iconic city through the interdiary as a violent overnight storm battered Paris and surrounding suburbs, leaving behind the trail of destruction rarely seen in modern times. The violent tempest driven by the deep Atlantic pressure system unleashed torrential rainfall, differing thunder and hurricane-force winds, plunged parts of the capital in the darkness and the chaos. According to the Meteor of France, Paris endured record-breaking rainfall, more than 16 mm in just 4 hours, flooding entire districts including said German Dispel, Baseline and Atlantic Water. The city again drainage networks struggled to cope, tuning cobblestone streets into fast-moving rivers. It was terrifying, said Claire Dubois, who lives near Jared Line. Within minutes, water was knee-deep. Cars were flooding. The lighting was so bright it felt like it dried for a second. Authorities reported over 1,800 emergency calls, with firefighters rescuing dozens trapped in the basements and underground car park. On a Monday, tornadoes swept through the area in North Paris, knocking down trees, construction cranes, killing one person and seriously injuring four other, authorities said. The town of Airmont, located about 20 km northwestern of Paris, was hardest hit, with a sudden wildfire damaged about 10 neighborhoods. Regional professor Gilles Rebras said 23-year-old construction worker died at a construction site and 10 people were injured, for them critically. Authorities said the tornado knocked down cranes and torn up roofs. Interior Minister Larry News said to Platform X that was a storm, sudden of rare intensity. He added, "I am closely monitoring the situation and experienced by a support official. Rescue at the scene the affected residents. I offer my condolences on the family and loved one of the deceased." Paris, the French capital, was brought to standstill on a Wednesday, and the night a sudden and violent storm swept across northern France, unleashing torrential rain, fires, winds, and dramatic lightning over the heart of Paris. Within just 19 minutes, more than 100 millimeters of rain fell in a hardest downpour recorded in over 2 decades. Europe, a powerful storm system has swept across large parts of Europe, bringing torrential rain, hurricane-force winds and widespread disruption from Spain to Germany. Named Storm Isadora by meteorologists, the violent weather left a trail of chaos, flooding streets, uprooted trees and cutting power of hundreds and thousands of homes. In France, wind exceeded 113 km an hour, battered the Atlantic coast, triggered roofs, rebuilding and forcing to temporarily close it to Eiffel Tower due to safety risks. In Paris, emergency service reported over 500 calls overnight. Fallen trees blocked major roads and debris littered the city. It felt like the city is breathing in chaos, said local resident Luca Mori. The wind was howling like a violent train. Further south Spain, in Dalton, relentless downpour that triggered flash flooding in parts of Valencia and Barcelona. Submerged cars and flooded metro station. Emergency crew carried out multiple water rescuing in resources as rainfall reached record-breaking levels, over 120 mm in 24 hours, according to the Spanish meteorological agency. Madrid has been plunged into chaos after a powerful storm swept across the Spanish capital, bringing torrential rain, gale-force winds and flash flooding that left entire neighborhoods underwater. In just few hours, more than a month, was in rain overwhelming drainage and transformed streets into fast-flowing rivers. Cars were swept away, metro station flooded, and power lines collapsed, plunging parts of the city in darkness. It was terrified, said Lauza Fernandez, a shop assistant who was received from the standard car. The water rose so quickly, I thought I would make it out alive. Authorities confirmed several fatalities and dozens of injured. Hundreds of residents were evacuated from basements in low-lying homes, and emergency service working around the clock, often wading chest deep through the floodwaters. Public transportation suffered severe disruption. Madrid metro network were particularly shut, while train and buses forced long delays. Barras International Airport suspended flight for several hours, stranded passengers amidst scenes of confusion. Tourists were also caught in the chaos, with landmarks like Puerta del Sol and Plaza Major submerged. Videos shared online showed hailstones bouncing across historic squares and water pouring down the steps of the Prada Museum. In surrounding region, farmland was badly hit. Vineyards and olive groves were inundated just weeks before harvest, threatening significant agricultural losers. Economists warned the storm financial toll could run into hundreds of millions euros. Meteorologists explained that the storm was triggered by a clash between humid Mediterranean air cold Atlantic front intensified by record summer heat. Experts warn that climate change is increasing to frequency such extreme weather events across the Spain, already one of Europe's most climate vulnerable nations.